And we're back. How you guys doing? That's what I'm talking about.
I am back. What it do, baby?
Yeah. So, wanted to run down memory lane and just talk about some crazy ass stuff that George Carlin saw way back in the day that we had no idea that would go so hella viral. And yeah, let's just get into it, huh? Let's just get right into it, okay? Here it goes.
One more way of reducing your liberty and reminding you that they can fuck with you anytime they want.
Whoa, Georgie, whoa, my word.
As long as you put up with it. As long as you put up with it.
And we do every single day by thinking there's a difference between Republicans and Democrats. We actually think they give a damn, when in reality, they're just playing us both against each other as clear as day. Because the second we stop fighting amongst ourselves is the day we actually realize who the real enemy is.
Which means, of course, anytime they want. Because that's what Americans do now. They're always willing to trade away a little of their freedom in exchange for the feeling, the illusion of security. What we have now is a completely neurotic population obsessed with security and safety and crime and drugs and cleanliness and hygiene.
They're gonna sell drugs to my child, my Jimmy. They're gonna sell the dope.
And germs. There's another thing. Germs. Where did this sudden fear of germs come from in this country? Have you noticed this? The media constantly running stories about all the latest infections, salmonella, E. coli, hantavirus, bird flu. And Americans they panic easily, so now everybody's running around scrubbing this and spraying that and overcooking their food and repeatedly washing their hands, trying to avoid all contact with germs.
And this is how we're also getting superbug viruses who are becoming antibacterial immune. That's why you're seeing more and more viruses and people getting sick from contaminated devices once they've been cleaned inside the hospitals. There's been multiple cases of this, by the way.
In prisons, before they give you a lethal injection, they swab your arm with alcohol. It's true. It's true. Besides, what do you think you have an immune system for? It's for killing germs. But it needs practice. It needs germs to practice on. What are you going to do when some super virus comes along that turns your vital organs into liquid shit?
Ah.
I lost all faith in this species and in my nation's culture.
I second that.
I got a divorce. It's never going to work.
I've lost faith in all of you people. All of you. There's a select few that I enjoy the company of. But for the majority, you're out, okay? I could care less what happens to you and your families. Because you know why? I'm at peace. I've gotten to a point where it's just, I'm above it. That's fine. You don't like me? That's fine. I've gotten used to it. The fact of the matter is people haven't liked me most of my life. And that has given me this whole I don't give an F mentality. Because when you don't care, you have a much more freedom mentality to just go with the flow. Because what's there to lose?
If you think there's a solution, you're part of the problem. That's what I
Bing.
If there's a bunch of guys hang around together in high school or college, and then one of them gets married, he changes. He's in a group, and the wife will say, Well, you know, he's just wonderful with the kids at home, but when he's with those morons at the bar, he's different. And the guys will say, hey, you were such a good guy, but when he's with Linda, man, the guy's, you know, just a drag. People change. And then the bigger the group, as the group gets bigger, 6, 8, 12, 15, 115,000, they begin to have hats, armbands, little slings,
Hats?
lists of people they don't like, and it gets out of hand. So I'm in favor of people one by one, but in large groups, I would like to see them disappear. I lost all faith.
But his targets are underdogs. And comedy traditionally has picked on people in power, people who abuse their power. Women and gays and immigrants are kind of, to my way of thinking, underdogs.
Why does he get away with it, do you think, then?
Well,
We
because
have
he's-
never laughed at jokes about the
Well, he's
poor.
appealing. I think he's appealing largely. I think his core audience are young white males who are threatened by these groups. I think a lot of these guys aren't sure of their manhood,
You don't say.
because that's a problem when you're going in through adolescence. And the women who assert themselves and are competent are a threat to these men, and so are immigrants in terms of jobs. And I think that's what is at the core of that experience that takes place in these arenas, is a certain, a sharing of anger and rage at these targets. But his
Jamie, you got a video of that?
Where would we be without our safe, familiar American bullshit? Land of the free, home of the brave, the American dream. All men are equal, justice is blind, the press is free, your vote counts. Business is honest, the good guys win. The police are on your side. God is watching you. Your standard of living will never decline. And everything is going to be just fine.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
National bullshit story.
There it
call
is.
The American okey doke.
They call it the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. So welcome to the United Snakes, home of the slave, land of the thief. Okay? That's where we live.
When your identity is your ideology, congratulations, you've officially screwed yourself, because now it's not just an idea, now it's you. And when the idea gets challenged, you don't hear disagreement, you hear an attack.
And you become an angry, sad little man who has to spew bullshit and just talk nonsense with no facts, just vibes, just opinions. Well, things could have been so much worse. Well, what about it? At least we could say this much, right? At least we can believe that in this reality it would be so much worse.
So what do? You build a bubble. A nice, soft, padded little bubble where everyone agrees with you, uses the same words, hates the same people, and claps at the exact right moments. And you will defend that bubble at all costs, even if it makes you sound incredibly stupid. Facts don't matter anymore. Logic's
What's a fact? The sky isn't blue, it's turquoise.
gone. Humor? Dead. Because admitting you're wrong would mean admitting you are wrong, and that's unacceptable.
You can't be wrong, because to be wrong means you're not right, and if you're not right, you must be evil.
So you double down, louder, angrier, dumber. And that's how you end up defending nonsense like it's sacred scripture, not because
Squabble, 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 rabble, 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 rabble.
it's true, but because without it, you'd have to actually develop a personality.
And on top of that, you'd actually have to form your own opinion that wasn't spoon-fed to you through some form of social media or some broadcast by some big corporation that told you how you really needed to think. So, yeah, let's just think about that for a second, huh? Can any of you actually form your own thought without looking at your phone? Have you read a book about history? Do you know what the actual consequences of your actions will be? Because history either repeats itself or it rhymes. One or the two. You can't really get around it. And let me just tell you, if you don't do that, here's what your eventual outcome is. Yeah, that was a pretty bad one. All right, so we're back. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's just it's funny out there. Everybody wants to be all sad and just why things didn't go my way. I could have been a doctor. I could have been. It's all this person's fault. It's all that person's fault. Let me tell you something. The only choice in life you ever made was your own. So, miss me outside with that bull, okay? It doesn't matter, everything you do, it doesn't matter because the system is made for you to lose. You're a lawyer, big whoop. There's 5 million lawyers, and every day the state allows new lawyers in to eat your lunch. And if you're not top of the heap, you're either having to pay to get leads or you're out there chasing ambulances like a dog. And either one of those is not appealing, let me tell you. So, yeah, I don't know. Times is tough out now. Times is tough. Let's see. What else can we talk about? Let's see. Let's talk about the real reason humans exist, huh? Let's get a taste of that.
The Earth doesn't share our prejudice towards plastic. Plastic came out of the Earth. The Earth probably sees plastic as just another one of its children. Could be the only reason the Earth allowed us to be spawned from it in the first place. It wanted plastic for itself. Didn't know how to make it. Needed us. Could be the answer to our age-old philosophical question, why are we here?
Oh, boy.
Plastic. The Earth doesn't share our prejudice towards plastic. Plastic came out of the Earth. The Earth probably sees plastic as just another one of its children. Could be the only reason the Earth allowed us to be spawned from it in the first place. It wanted plastic for itself. Didn't know how to make it. Needed us. Could be the answer.
Be nonstick.
When your identity is your identity.
This civilization of ours, we're so
Not to scare you,
this
but
civilization with its so-called civilized behavior.
George Carlin
First,
said it.
realize how fragile all this is. How fragile the whole how easily.
You don't need a
This one I'm going to end it with because this one is kind of says it all. And yeah, this one was it. Look, I'm going to let Georgie boy here say it because this was said in the 90s and either way you could slice this any way you want. So we'll just call this one Nostra Carlin, okay?
You don't need a formal conspiracy when interests converge. These people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards of directors. They're on the same country clubs. They have like interests. They don't need to call a meeting. They know what's good for them, and they're getting it. And there used to be 7 oil companies.
It's a club, and you ain't in it, baby.
There are now 3. It will soon be 2. The things that matter in this country have been reduced in choice. There are 2 political parties. There are a handful.
There will always be 2 political parties. There will always be a minority 3rd political party that never gets any traction.
Full of insurance companies, there are about 6 or 7 information things. But if you want a bagel, there are 23 flavors because you have the illusion. You have the illusion of choice. Right. You don't get the real important choice.
Are you hearing this, people?
That's a great point. Right. You don't.
out in the open now. They're not even trying to conceal it anymore. The owners
Listen
of the
up.
country,
Just listen.
They got their election. They said, we're going to get this election.
The real owners he's talking about, okay? Not you and me.
Put you people in that court for a reason.
All right,
Now's
back
the time
to
pay
earth
us.
for you
And
now.
yeah, forget all that stupid. Will you? They're out in the open. They're openly driving the bus, and we're all in the back.
There is no national conspiracy to buy elections.
There is no conspiracy, folks. Everybody calm down. Just calm it down. All right, calm down, people. There's no conspiracies. There's no wealthy people that run this country. Okay? You and the elected officials run everything, okay? Rich people have no control or authority over anything. So just stop all of this crazy talk, all right? It's getting out of hand. I mean, just that's what a lot of people sound like today.
And control America. Now talk about back to earth. Conspiracy, but
You don't need a formal conspiracy.
Right.
When interests converge, these people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards of directors. They're in the same country clubs. They have like interests. They don't need to call a meeting. They know what's good for them, and they're getting it. And there used to be 7 oil companies. There are now 3.
There's only like 3 or 4 meatpacking companies in this country, so you wonder why the meat prices keep going through the roof. You wonder why that the meatpacking plant from Tyson went out of closed in Nebraska. It's because there's another meatpacking company just down the way in that town, and Walmart owns it. And here's the best part. They are not shutting down that meatpacking plant so someone else can come in. They're just gonna leave it there so no one else can use it. Think about that. Why would they not allow anyone else to use that plant? Why? So they can keep the market small.
It will soon be 2. The things that matter in this country have been reduced in choice. There are 2 political parties. There are a handful. On election day, I stay home. I don't vote. Fuck them. I don't. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long.
You think your vote matters? It doesn't, okay? Because the Electoral College decides elections, not your vote. The Electoral College was born out of the post-Civil War so that southern states that lost all of their wealth and power with the slave industry could have a leg up and still have power over the bigger states with more industry. That is the reason why the Electoral College is the way it is. So here it is right here. Slavery and the 3/5 Compromise, which is the huge factor. Slave states wanted more political power without letting enslaved people vote. So they created the 3/5 Compromises. Enslaved people counted as 3/5 of a person for representation, and this boosted the southern states as House seats and electoral votes. Elites didn't trust direct democracy. Many founders openly said they didn't trust the average voter. here you go. Here's what they don't teach in the history books. The elites didn't trust the direct democracy. Many founders openly said they didn't trust the average voter to pick a president wisely. They wanted a buffer. They wanted voters to have electors and the electors to choose the president. Hamilton argued electors should be a filter against dangerous or unqualified candidates. So what happened after the Civil War? Well, the Civil War technically ended the slavery, but it created new political battles. After the 13th Amendment, enslaved people were free, but southern states still wanted their political power. So here's the twist. Now, black people counted as a full persons for representations, but the southern states still wanted poll tax, literally tests, and violence and intimidation to stop them from voting. The Compromise of 1877 is the disputed election of 1876. A turning point. Democrat Samuel Tilden won the popular vote. Republican Rutherford B. Hayes won the Electoral College. The deal was made that the Republicans keep the presidencies, the Democrats regain control of the South, and the federal troops leave southern states. And this ended Reconstruction, allowed for Jim Crow laws, and locked in voter suppression for decades. Why? It still works this way to this day. Because even after slavery ended, the structure remained because small states benefit. A state like Wyoming is worth much more than a vote in California. Because it's the swing state benefit. Politicians focus on fewer battleground states instead of the whole country. It's very hard to change because you'll need 2/3 of Congress, because you'll never get 2/3 of those lovely human beings to agree on anything, let alone 3/4 of the states. Small states will never vote to give up power. Let me ask you something. When are you going to vote to give up your own power? Because you're never going to vote to give up something in your best interest. So here's what people criticize it today, that it was partially designed to protect slavery. Okay, so every time people want to say we don't need to get rid of the Electoral College, it still is to diminish people's vote. Even now, they're creating new voter restriction laws. So, Electoral College was partly designed to protect slavery, was reinforced by post-Civil War racial power structures, and still allows minority rule. That's why multiple presidents won while losing the popular votes. Many scholars call it a system that protects political inequality. All right, guys. That's it for tonight. Hope you guys had a fun one. I'm going to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to see you in the next one.